Let's be real for a second. A good anime can hook you, but a legendary story arc will consume your entire life. I've watched over 1,000 anime, and these are my favorite anime arcs of all time. I'm not ranking these because assigning a number to this level of fiction feels a bit wrong, but I'll keep my top 3 at the end. Let's check them out. I remember the exact moment Mappa decided to rip the brakes off the hype train. The Shibuya incident feels less like a traditional shonen arc and more like a continuous, suffocating panic attack. I went in expecting cool fights and maybe a minor character injury, but I got a grueling massacre that permanently altered the landscape of the series. Every time a character stepped on screen, I legitimately feared for their life. The choreography is a visual feast, blending fluid martial arts with apocalyptic destruction, but the true brilliance lies in Yuji Itadori's psychological breakdown. Oh man. When you watch that energetic, happy child breaking down while the background music starts, brutal. He had to shoulder the heavy guilt of mass devastation, which changed how I view him as a protagonist. There's no clean victories here, only survivors standing humbly in the rubble. It's an exhausting descent into hell, leaving scars that are never really gonna fully heal. Pure, unadulterated cinematic adrenaline. Gojo Sensei! 君には期待しているよ。聞いてるかい？スクナ。Trading bloody axes for farming hoes sounds like commercial suicide. When Season 2 started, I genuinely wondered how a show built on Viking gore could survive such a drastic pivot. But yeah, this quiet, methodical stretch of episodes became the most profoundly moving television that I've ever consumed. I watched Thorfinn, a young man hollowed out by revenge, slowly learn the immense weight of a single human life. The focus shifts entirely away from battlefield glory to the heavy and repetitive labor. It forced me to sit with the trauma of violence rather than celebrate it. I have no enemies is a philosophy I now carry around in my head daily. They say anime leaves an impact on your life, and this line changed something in me. It did, really. The catharsis doesn't arrive from a final boss fight, it blossoms in a quiet apology to the ghosts of the past. It takes immense bravery for a writer to dismantle their own action premise to tell a story about pacifism. This arc washed over me like a cleansing rain, leaving a lasting, quiet peace. 俺に敵なんかいない。Nostalgia hits incredibly hard with this one. If you ask anyone who grew up watching anime in the 2000s when they truly fell in love with the medium, half of them will point directly at the Seirei. I still get chills thinking about Ichigo crashing the Sokyoku Execution Hill. Kubo created the ultimate rescue mission, populating it with an impossibly cool cast of captains who dripped with unparalleled style. Every single fight felt like an event. I'm not gonna lie, the otaku in me spent hours discussing Bankai reveals, completely absorbed in the escalating power scaling. The pacing here is immaculate, blending intense swordplay with a simmering murder mystery that keeps the tension wound remarkably tight. That betrayal remains one of the coldest, most perfectly executed plot twists that I've ever witnessed. He immediately owned the entire villain hierarchy. The stretch of episodes established the blueprint for modern hype. It's the pinnacle of the battle shonen formula executed with unapologetic swagger. これからは私が天に立つ Tournament arcs are a dime a dozen, but the Dark Tournament is the undisputed king of the mountain. Togashi essentially wrote the textbook on how to isolate a caste, stack the odds ridiculously high, and force every character to evolve or die. I love that the stakes never feel artificial here. The threat of annihilation hangs heavy over the Toguro brothers' terrifying presence. Yusuke Urameshi's growth from a cocky little street punk into a genuine leader is forged in absolute agony during these matches. My personal highlight remains Hiei unleashing the Dragon of the Darkness flame, a moment of pure edge that still holds up spectacularly today. The villains are incredibly compelling, carrying their own twisted philosophies rather than acting as simple punching bags. The final clash between Yusuke and younger Toguro transcends physical blows, transforming into a grueling clash of ideologies about strength and isolation. It's a bloody gauntlet that exhausts you by the final bell, delivering a satisfying, hard-earned victory. I've never seen a writer juggle this many moving parts and stick the landing with such precision. The Promised Day is a sprawling multi-front war that converges on Central City, and Hiromu Arakawa treats every single character with immense respect. I was mesmerized by how dozens of subplots established 60 episodes prior snapped together like a flawless puzzle. Now think about it. Mustang's terrifying, flame-fueled rampage of vengeance, or King Bradley's unstoppable assault on the front gates, the momentum just never stops. Yet, amidst the catastrophic alchemy and god-tier villains, the emotional core remains entirely anchored to two brothers trying to fix their tragic mistakes. Edward sacrificing his truth to save Alphonse is the most beautiful thematic resolution I can imagine. It makes me deeply emotional because it validates everything the Elric brothers suffered through. This is a masterclass in narrative architecture. I walk away from this finale every single time feeling completely fulfilled, without a single lingering doubt in my mind.
Full Metal Alchemist.
This is the tragedy that redefined my understanding of dark fantasy. Golden Age operates like a masterful Shakespearean play, slowly building a brilliant camaraderie before tearing it apart in the most horrific way imaginable. I grew deeply attached to the Band of the Hawk. I followed a journey. I watched Guts find a true home, a purpose beyond swinging a sword, and a fragile romance with Casca, which filled me with a dangerous sense of hope. The Campfire of Dreams speech fundamentally shifted how I view personal ambition and friendship, but the shadow of Griffith's impossible dream looms over everything. The psychological decay of Griffith, his descent from a charismatic savior to a desperate broken man, is fascinating and terrifying to witness. The Eclipse is an agonizing, traumatic nightmare that I'll never scrub from my brain. It breaks my heart every time I revisit it, serving as a brutal reminder of the terrifying cost of unchecked ambition. I owe a massive chunk of my anime obsession to the Forest of Death. The Chunin exams transformed a show about misfit ninjas into a sprawling, dangerous world filled with deadly politics. The atmosphere was incredibly tense. These kids were actively trying to off each other for a military promotion. I was captivated by the sudden expansion of the lore, introducing rival villages and unique jutsu that made the power system feel endlessly creative. And then there's Rock Lee dropping his leg weights. That singular moment rewired my brain. This is a kid with zero ninjutsu talent, physically overwhelming a terrifying sand demon through sheer, unadulterated hard work remains deeply inspiring to me. The introduction of Orochimaru injected a genuine sense of horror, making the stakes feel incredibly lethal. This stretch of the story balances strategic, brain-bending combat with massive emotional payoffs perfectly. It's a nostalgic powerhouse that reminds me exactly why I fell down the anime rabbit hole in the first place.
葬式には出られなかったんだ。せめて弔い合戦くらい参加しねえと。江戸を守りてえ。俺たちの居場所を守りてえ。俺はようやく新選組になれたよ。
Comedy shows are not supposed to make you cry like this. Gintama built a massive reputation on toilet humor and parodies, but when Hideaki Sonachi decides to get serious, he goes straight for the throat. The Farewell Shinsengumi arc is a devastating culmination of hundreds of episodes, intricate world building. Seeing Edo descend into actual civil war, with our goofy police force stripped of their badges and hunted, felt incredibly jarring and gripping. The fight choreography here is brutal and absolutely desperate. I found myself holding my breath during the clash between Gintoki and Utsuro, realizing the terrifying historical weight behind their tragic connection. Kondo's unwavering resolve to protect his men, even at the cost of his own life, broke me. This arc permanently shifts the tone of the entire series, leaving deep scars on characters I'd grown to love like family. It's a staggering emotional gut punch that proves true comedy requires a foundation of profound tragedy to land correctly. Superhero stories thrive on the ultimate clash between good and terrifying evil, and this finale delivers that collision perfectly. The scale of the Final War arc is staggering, pulling every single character from the sidelines into a desperate struggle for survival. I deeply admire how Horikishi manages to give almost the entire massive cast a meaningful moment in the spotlight. The art style elevates to something genuinely horrific and beautiful. Bakugo stole the show in this arc, no doubt, but at the center of the chaos, the emotional tether is Midoriya's unwavering desire to save Shigaraki, not just defeat him. That stubborn, foolish compassion is why I stuck with this story for years. It pushes the boundaries of the superhero genre, exploring the heavy toll of saving a society that relies entirely on a handful of broken pillars. An exhaustingly brilliant and emotionally satisfying visual spectacle. I often describe this as the most beautiful tragedy ever animated. Before the goofy smiles and the reverse blade sword, Kenshin was simply the Hitokiri Batosai, an assassin drowning in a vast sea of blood. This OVA strips away all the standard shonen tropes, delivering a somber, cinematic historical drama that feels heavy with sorrow. The direction is breathtaking, with every drop of rain and spray of blood is animated with meticulous, haunting intent. I'm continually stunned by the romance between Kenshin and Tomoe. It is quiet, deeply messy, and entirely doomed from the start. The climax is a beautifully choreographed, agonizing mistake that explains exactly why Kenshin swears off killing forever. It doesn't hype you up with massive explosions, it leaves you sitting in total silence, reflecting on the heavy burden of a single life. A flawless, melancholic masterpiece. This is the peak of modern anime storytelling. I remember watching this arc, feeling paralyzed by the overwhelming tension. Everything the series had been building toward, the basement, the secrets of the world, the reclaiming of Wall Maria, culminates in a desperate, suicidal clash. The tactical warfare here is brilliant, treating the Titans not as mindless monsters, but as brutal chess pieces in a terrifying game of survival. Erwin Smith's charge remains one of the most harrowing, incredibly voice-acted speeches I've ever heard. It literally made me want to ride a horse into a barrage of flying boulders. The emotional weight of Levi choosing between Armin and Erwin still sparks fierce debates in my head. And then the basement reveal fundamentally shatters the entire reality of the show, shifting the narrative from a simple survival horror into a complex geopolitical tragedy. It's an exhilarating, mind-bending roller coaster that executes a perfect paradigm shift, cementing the series as a modern legend.
L、キラ、必ずお前を探し出して始末する。僕が、私が正義だ。
I'll boldly claim that the first 25 episodes of Death Note are the most addictive television ever produced. The psychological warfare between Light Yagami and L is a masterclass in building tension using nothing but sharp dialogue and inner monologues. I was obsessed with the cat and mouse dynamic. I mean, these two super geniuses tried to back each other into a corner using convoluted, incredibly risky strategies felt more intense than any physical brawl. The tennis match scene alone carries dramatic weight than most season finales. I love how the narrative constantly shifts the balance of power, making me constantly question who I actually want to win. The infamous potato chip scene is peak dramatic direction, turning a mundane action into an operatic display of massive ego. When the conclusion to this rivalry finally hits, the silence that follows is totally deafening. It's a razor-sharp, intellectually stimulating thrill ride that demands your attention until the very last deduction. Ichiro Oda essentially threw his entire world-building bible into a blender and created a masterpiece here. Marineford is the arc that proves exactly why this pirate epic is a massive global juggernaut. The sheer scale of the conflict is dizzying. Witnessing the admirals, the warlords, and Whitebeard's massive fleet clash on a frozen bay feels like reading a mythological war. In everything that was going on, one person's grit and determination kept me grounded. Luffy's desperate, single-minded sprint through the total chaos to save his brother. I felt the exhaustion in his bones as he threw himself against enemies vastly outside his weight class. Whitebeard, refusing to let his back hit the ground, is an image permanently burnt into my mind. The emotional climax is a devastating gut punch that rips away Luffy's childhood innocence, forcing him to reckon with his own limitations. It violently shakes up the power dynamics of the world, setting the stage for a darker, more dangerous era. An absolute titan of an arc. This is literature, and I don't use that word lightly, okay? What starts as a standard monster hunting mission slowly mutates into a profound philosophical exploration of what it actually means to be human. Togashi uses the bizarre premise of giant, hyper-intelligent bugs to hold up a terrifying mirror to our own society. I was captivated by the parallel journeys of the protagonist and the villain. When I watched Gon, the endlessly optimistic boy, sink into a hollow, terrifying rage, while Meruem, a literal apex predator, discovers vulnerability and love, is masterful writing. The palace invasion unfolds like a ticking time bomb, narrated with incredible precision that highlights the total chaos of a split-second decision. Netero's chilling monologue about human malice haunts me deeply to this day. The conclusion between Meruem and Gomugi is so quiet, so desperately tender, that it leaves me weeping every single time. It's a grueling, uncomfortable, and unbelievably beautiful study of the human condition. And there you have it. The arcs that define the medium for me. The ones that I'll relentlessly recommend until my voice gives out. I know I probably missed your favourite one. The comment section is wide open, okay? So drop the arcs that rewired your brain down below. We're going to keep deep diving into anime that makes us feel things, so if you enjoy this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, okay? Thanks for hanging out with me on ViniiTube Kai. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.